Hi, I'm Loann Burke with Smithers Oasis, and today I'm going to show you a wrist corsage using a classic wrap wristlet. Now the first thing I want to do is to stabilize that plastic disc just so it won't slide around on us while we're working on the corsage. I'm going to slide that plastic attachment disc back. Using a dash of U-glue, place that right in the center on the top side of the corsage. Wristband, peel off my paper backing, slide the attachment disc back over the U-glue and just press that in place. Now it's not going to slide on us, so we can work on that flat on the table. The next thing I want to do is take about an 8-inch piece of our cotton lace ribbon, and I've cut it at a nice angle so I can thread that through the holes that are on my classic wrap wristlet. I'm going to thread it through from the back side. So I'll take one end and I'll thread it through that small hole. With this piece of ribbon, we'll be able to tie our bow in place. I'll take the other side, thread that through those eyelets that are on that plastic attachment disc, and I'll be able to tie that bow right on with that. I'm going to use about 1.5 yards of our cotton lace ribbon and make a really quick bow. This will have about 5 loops a side, and we'll twist that really quickly, making a nice traditional bow. And then instead of taping a piece of wire or using a piece of green enameled wire to tie off my bow, I'm going to use a small piece of bind wire. So we'll twist off the bow, twist that in place, and trim off any excess bind wire. Now where the center of my bow is, you notice I don't use a center loop when I make my bow. This lets me place this right in the center and then use those 2 streamers from the cotton lace ribbon that I've already threaded through the back of my wrist corsage and just tie that in place. I can just trim off my streamers, give them a nice clean cut at the end. All the flowers now are going to be glued directly into the ribbon. We're going to use a different gluing technique. Instead of applying the glue straight from the tube or the bottle onto the flowers, I'm going to squeeze out a puddle of Oasis floral adhesive. In this case, I'm going to do it on a plastic piece of plastic. Just squeeze out a nice little puddle of Oasis floral adhesive. And then I'm going to dip each bloom into my puddle of adhesive and then place it directly into the corsage. I want to make sure I keep my corsage flat on my workspace in front of me just to give that Oasis adhesive time to set. So I'll take my bloom. In this case, I'm using some very pretty Ilsa spray roses. I'm going to swirl that or dip it into my adhesive, and then I'm going to lay that right in the center of my lace ribbon. And I'll take 3 blooms of the spray roses, swirl that into the Oasis adhesive, and I'll place them in a triangle. We'll just pick up a little bit of that loop of ribbon just so the ribbon will come up through the top. Swirl my 3rd bloom of spray roses and then place that. Now at this point, I'll just hold those blooms in place just to give that adhesive time to set. If you ever use the Oasis floral adhesive and the bloom doesn't stay in place, just hold it for about 15 seconds and it'll set enough that you can move on with the rest of your corsage. I'm going to take my 4th bloom. If you have to peel off any of those sepals at the bottom of the spray rose, go ahead and do that. So I've dipped that into my Oasis floral adhesive, and this last bloom will go right in the center. So I've got 3 blooms and then 1 bloom right in the center. At this point, the Oasis adhesive is set pretty well. It's not completely dry yet, but it's definitely set, and I can add in my secondary blooms. In this case, I'm going to add some hyacinth blooms. Same technique, I'm going to dip and then just insert those directly into my corsage. Again, keeping it flat on the table, taking each hyacinth bloom, swirling it into my Oasis adhesive, and then placing that right into the corsage. If I need a little more adhesive, I can just add to my puddle of glue right there and just keep doing the same method, just dipping and sticking right into my corsage. And After I have all of the blooms and secondary blooms in place, I can add in any accent blooms. In this case, I'm going to use Baby's Breath. And one more hyacinth bloom. I can take the small clusters of Baby's Breath, do the same thing, swirl those in my Oasis adhesive, and right back into my corsage. Also, by squeezing out a puddle of the adhesive that I'm using on this piece of plastic also gets a little bit tacky, which makes it set pretty quickly when I add in the accent flowers into my corsage. So we're almost done. A little bit more Baby's Breath, just so I have that nice accent flower. This is a really soft, romantic corsage using that cotton lace and the ivory classic wrap wristlet. And now I've got all of my blooms, my hyacinth blooms, and my accent Baby's Breath. And then to wear this, I love the classic wrap wristlet because it fits from a very, very tiny wrist to a larger wrist, and it's going to fit nice, snug, and secure. So we'll just place it on my wrist, and we're all set.